Let me introduce you to my Warco drill press. But could it be improved? Welcome back to the workshop. So it's starting to come together now, so you can see all the hard work starting to pay off. So in the last episode we got these linear profile rails fitted, and then I machined up the front plate here, that's the back piece to the knee, and that all went pretty well. So I think we better finish the knee off. So we've got the top plate to make, and then there's two triangular support brackets. Now I've got the material over on the CNC machine. Let's get started. I've got a fairly basic setup here. I've just got the raw material mounted onto this chipboard panel. Now I haven't skimmed this flat. I measured it, it was pretty flat, but if you really want some accuracy, then you skim this panel first, then you know it's definitely true to the machine. But I say I did a few measurements on it and it was okay, so I just used it as is. So coming in here with my favourite end mill, which is a 6mm 2-flute carbide. And we're doing an adaptive cut here, just to clear this pocket out. And after I've run the adaptive, I came in with a 2D contour just to clean up. Here I'm using the pocket toolpath just to clear out these holes, just to interpolate them, because that's I think it was an 8mm hole using a 6mm carbide. Interpolate and spiral down. It's quite a good method. Then we're on to roughing it out. Now the maximum speed I prefer to use if you're doing something that's got a slot in it, 700mm per minute. And then just listen to the sound, make sure you get all those chips out there, clean it out every pass. Then after we've roughed it out, clear away the stock I don't need, and then just come in with a finish pass just to finish off. There we are, there's one done. Need one more. Okay, so we're now ready to make the top plate for the knee, and then the drawing for that looks like this. So we've got a series of holes around the outside, so we've got our M12 holes. These are tapped M12, so we can put the XY table on here and bolt it in at the 4 locations, and that'll hold it in place. And then there's some countersunk holes to suit M5 cap head. So they bolt into the back plate, they also bolt into the triangular side pieces, and then there's a reinforcement strip that goes across the front here that bolts into there as well. And then in the centre you can see this pattern here. This is so if we've got something particularly tall and we can't quite get it underneath the chuck, we can take the XY table off, and we've got this pattern here that allows us to bolt a regular vise on there, and then we can bolt it down in these positions and get that into the position we want, or we can clamp it and locate into place, whichever suits. So we've got that option as well. So we're going to do this in the usual way in 2 kind of stages. So I've got it clamped around the outside at the moment, as you can see, just these little toe clamps, and that will allow me to do some of the internal features. So I think we'll machine this pocket out here all the way through, and the slots, and then we can screw it down in a number of locations there, probably the tapped holes as well. We can do those and then screw it down there. Then we can remove the clamps from around the outside and rough it out, and then bring it to the final dimension. Right, so let's get going. Okay, and there it is all finished. So let's go and clean it up, drill out some of these holes, clean off the edges. Yeah, let's go and see what we got. Right, I've just taken these out to 10.2, it's the final size for tapping, and then running through with an M12 coarse tap. Okay, so it's time to put the holes in the side here. So that's we've got 3 of these which are going to be drilled out and then tapped M5. So I've marked those out, just scribed those out there just to make sure I don't make any silly mistakes. I've got the vise trammed in, and then I've just got this levelled here and clamped in place. So we've got this true to the axis of the machine. Now I've just about got enough Z travel. I've pushed the spindle right up into the housing. Luckily on this spindle design I made it so it had a sort of 2 clamps that hold the body in place, and then you can fine tune the height to do a range of jobs. So I've got it about as high as we can, and it just skims this by about 1 millimetre or 2, but you know, clearance is clearance. So we'll just touch off the back edge here to get our 0, centre it on there, and then we'll just pilot out the 3 holes. Now when we do that one, we've got to be a little bit careful it doesn't try to tip, so just go really gently through there. I've got this backstop here, just try and help it do that. But let's see how we go. Right, let's 0 it off and drill the holes. I managed to get that done. I don't think it moved, so that's great, but you can see just how much clearance I got. That's about maximum there. Right, we've got one more to do and then I'll bring you back. Okay, so as you can see I've got the back piece clamped in the vise here. I was about to drill these 2 holes. Unfortunately the machine's overheated, the PC's overheated, and I've tried it several times. It's unusually hot in the UK at the moment. It's about 25 degrees C, which I know is not hot all around the world, but that's pretty warm for here. Now usually the PC would be able to cope with that, but this particular one's pretty old. I built it many years ago and it's always been a bit on the edge. So let me show you the computer and show you what my plan is. Okay, so the PC that runs the CNC machine, that runs the control cabinet up there, lives under here, and I run it without the side normally just to give it a little bit more ventilation, and I normally run it with another fan here if it's a bit warm that day. So this kind of desk fan like that, and run it blowing up the CPU. But even that's not been enough. I've also taken the main CPU fan off and put a bigger fan on. I think it's about a 60mm or 40 maybe. So I put an 80mm, that wasn't big enough. And you can't really see it, but there's an 80 and then a 120 in front of it. But it's still overheating. So basically what that's saying is that it's the junction between the main, I think they call it the heat spreader, but on the chip, between that and the radiator system that's on there, that's got sort of aluminium fins on it. So it's that interface that I think's always been a bit dodgy, because with that much cooling on it, it should work, but I think the problem is further downstream. So we're going to take this apart, and we'll take it in the house. We'll take the processor off, or the heatsink off the processor, sorry. And we'll have a look and see what we've got. And I've got some thermal paste that's just arrived, some fresh stuff, so we'll just put the merest dab of that on and see how we get on. Hopefully that will fix it. Right, let's get this in the house and I'll show you what we've got. Okay, we're on the dining room table. Don't worry, wife's gone out for a couple of hours. Hopefully we can get this done before she comes back and be none the wiser. Okay, so we've got a really pretty old spec PC, but it's plenty good enough to run Mac 3, which is what I run. You don't need too much to run that, you don't need too much power. So we've got a pretty basic graphics card down there, we've got our drives there, CD drive, power supply up there, and then these are the fans I talked about. So these are a recent addition. I just added these yesterday when I was having the overheating problems. So we'll get all that out and get the heatsink off and have a look. It's one of those things that, you know, several years ago I knew it really needed doing when I built it. It was always been a bit marginal, but you know, you make do and it's all right and it works. And let's be honest, it's not that hot in the UK very often, so it's not that much of a problem. But I need to cut the parts out. And would you believe it? The forecast is going to be warm for some time. So this had a slightly smaller fan on it originally, so I've just put this on. But yeah, again, that's not sorted out. I vacuumed all the fins, given it a big clean out. But no, that's not it. So this all needs to come off. Right, I need a screwdriver. It's held on with this very basic sort of over centre catch down here. So all we've got to do is apply a little bit of pressure, and then hopefully that should just come off. I think we're there. It should just lift off. Yeah, so you can see what I think they call that bit there. I think they call the heat spreader. That sits on top of the chip. Now I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent, but it looks quite speckled. So it's sort of touching in places. Maybe that was the root of the whole problem. And you see the witness mark here. Again, I don't know if that's good, bad, indifferent. Did I really apply that much paste? Why did I do that? Don't need that. That's far too much. So one of those days maybe. Long time ago, many years ago. So let's clean this up. I'll clean that up, and then yeah, what I'm gonna do is, again, I'm not overclocking this, but just give it a fighting chance. I'm just gonna have a go at mildly lapping this with various grades of sandpaper, and we'll just see how we get on. I mean, the shinier we can get this, the better the heat transfer and the less it's reliant on the paste. So let's clean it up, and then we'll give that a go. So this is just a piece of granite from an old fireplace, sort of the hearth that surrounded it. I've checked it against known ground edges out of precision equipment. So it's reasonably flat. I'd say at least 0.05, if not closer to 0.01. Nothing better than that. You know, it's not an actual surface plate, but it's the best thing I got. Other people online say you can use pieces of glass sheet as well, or obviously if you've got surface plate, even better. So we go with what we got. We'll run with this. So this is some 600 grit. Just put a bit of washing up liquid on there, and we'll do our lapping. So just for reference, that's the start, and we'll do another one at the end and see if it's any different. So I've got to make sure I don't rock it, move it side to side, just keep it as flat as I can. And we'll do 10 this way. Turn it around. Well, I've been lapping this for probably nearly an hour now, and I think basically I've just run out of grade of paper. Can't go fine enough. You can see, hopefully you can see, some high spots starting to form. So there were the high spots starting to come down. Yeah, you can see where they've slightly changed colour, but it would probably take, I mean, if I had the right paper, I need some lighter grade paper, maybe another hour just to get that in if I really want to get a mirror finish. So I think what we'll do, we'll clean it up, but I think I put far too much of the thermal paste on last time, so we'll just put about a grain of rice size is the recommended amount. We'll give that a go, and hopefully that keeps it cool enough. You know, this should be plenty good enough in this weather. It's not super hot here, but it's clearly needs to be better than it was. So I'll clean this off as best I can. And you can start to see it's starting to come, but it would take an awful lot more. So let's call it quits here, get the paste on, and get it mounted up. Okay. Let's try that. Right, now apparently with these you just go straight down, no moving around, get it into your final position as best you can. got it. It's tight on there. Okay, so I've got it all back in place, all wired up, and I've got the 80mm fan. Probably a bit dark to it. Oh yeah, in there. It's the 80mm fan. Pulling the air away, and then we've got the case extract fan there, but we're running without the side on anyway, just to give it a fighting chance. So we'll turn it on and see what happens. Now, if it's really not taken very well, this will shut down in a couple of seconds. Hopefully we won't get that. We'll go into BIOS if we can, if I remember how to do it on this machine, and we'll have a look at the internal temperatures. From memory, maybe 40-45 degrees C is good when it's idling. Let's have a look, see what we get. Right, let's power on. Monitor it. There it goes. Plenty of there. Let's have a look. Can't quite remember how you get in. Is it delete? One. Oh, there we go. Oh. Right, it's only started working now, so we've got motherboard 20. Okay, it's about what it is in here at the moment, so it's cooled off a bit. CPU 51. It's a little hot considering it's just idling. 52. Prefer that was in the 40s if possible, but it is quite warm today. Might be right. Okay, so it's a different day from before. It is a little bit cooler. I have just checked the PC temperatures and they're absolutely fine, so hopefully that fix has done it. I guess we'll find out. It's been running for about 10 minutes and no issues. So I've just picked up off the edge of that part. I've moved across using MDI just to the location of the first hole. I'd also scribed it on there, and just to make sure I don't make any errors, yeah, and it's come down exactly onto those scribe marks. So I'll just use PEC drilling manually, just putting on, well, on my keyboard it's page down, I've got configured just to drill the hole, and then we'll come out, MDI to the other hole position, and then we'll just manually PEC drill down. I'm doing it manually, I just don't want this end mill to snap off in there after I put all the work into the part. Then we'll take it off here, we'll assemble what we can, because there's some holes I can't get to because this is just too tall. I can't turn it upright that way and do the side holes, so I'll show you the old school way of doing that using some transfer punches. Right, so before we get there, let's open these holes out, and yeah, and we can get started. Okay, so we've piloted these out on the CNC machine now. We'll just open them up to the tapping size, which at M5 is 4.2, and then we'll tap them out. This is how I store my taps and the associated equipment. So we've got M3, 4, 5, 6 and 8, and you've got the tapping drill in each one, and then the tap itself, and sometimes I've got a couple of each just in case I break one. And then down here we've got the tapping guides that help you get it started and keep it straight. So we've got M8, M5 and M4, they're the most popular ones. Right, let's open it up and start tapping the holes. And because tapping raises a little bit of a burr, it's best to put your countersink in now. I've showed these before a lot on the channel. I like using these snail countersinks. Okay, tap in the handle, and then got the little tap guide on just to help to keep it square. Okay, take that out. There we go, they're done. Right, let's, I think, I know we've got some to do on the triangular sides. I'll do those, and then we'll see you back at the drill press, and we'll put it together, and then we've got to mark out and transfer punch these side ones. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay, I think we're ready for our first fit up. Now we're going to put it together, and then that will give us the opportunity to mark up those last few holes. So let's put the back plate on first. Ballscrew. Alright. So we've got one in each and we've got two there just to hold that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I think next we'll put the top piece on. So this is the top piece, and it's only going to be held on just at the moment, but just by those two little screws that's sticking out like that. Oh, hang on, upside down. Okay, this is the top piece, and just temporarily, because I haven't got the side fixings in, it's only going to be held on at the back just by two little screws like that, and then it's going to be cantilevered. But I think as long as we don't whack it, it'll be fine. We just need to hold that in position there, and then we can get the side pieces on and mark up where they need to go. So we'll just drop our two little M5s in there. How much we got sticking out? Yeah, that'll be okay. Okay. Okay, that feels pretty good. Right, let's get the side bits on and then we can align it all. So you wouldn't really want to drill or press too hard on that, it's only held at the back, so that's why we've got these two triangular pieces. Now, last minute change in the design, I added this cutout here, the idea being that once this is on, if you've got some very awkward shaped pieces or some really tall pieces and you take the XY table off, you might put something directly onto this table here, and that gives you the ability to get a clamp around there, to clamp here, clamp at the front, and then same the other side. So just gives a bit of versatility. I don't think we really lost too much stiffness there. Mainly you just need this outer shape round here. So let's get that on. Now these bolt holes, there's no holes drilled in here because they were the ones that are too big, so they're the ones that are going to transfer punch. If you haven't seen that before, I'll show you that method. And so let's get these screws in. Okay, I'm on the other side. Okay, yeah, it all feels pretty flush. So there's a little bit of an overhang there because the XY table itself is about that wide, and then I stepped it back in because I wanted to keep it quite neat and in line with where the rails were, and they in turn were in line with kind of where the main body was. Also thought it might sort of double up as a bit of an emergency clamp if you're just holding something against that edge there. Just trying to give lots of options. You don't really know what you're going to do in the future when you're drilling some holes. You can also see there's a little bit here that's yet to be made. It's just a little strip. I think it was 20mm wide by about 20 deep. Two M5s there, and then two fixings in the side, just in case this centre part needed a little bit of reinforcement. It probably would have been alright, to be honest, looking at it now, but we're there now, so we'll just make that strip another time. Okay, now we need to transfer punch those holes. So these are the M8 button head screws, or mushroom head screws, that we want to get in there, and as you can see. Okay, so I can't put these M8 screws in here, because you see that blue there? That's the blue on this back piece in here. That's the bit we need to drill. We'll tap and drill those holes in for these M8s. We've got 3 of those per side. So what we'll do is just use this as a guide and use what's called transfer punch. So let's get those out. I'll set that up and show you how that works. So here's the transfer punch set I've got, and as you can see they've got numbers down here which start at, well, we're starting at 1mm in 0.5mm increments all the way up to 13 back here. So the one we want is 8, which is that one there. So this is what they look like. It's just a hardened cylinder, and then at this end here you've just got it sharpened into a point. So this is 8mm, so that will go into that hole just there, centralize itself, and then you hold it as square as you can and tap this end with a hammer, and you've marked your hole through. Take it all apart, and then you can drill and tap in the usual way. So let's just tap those into there. So I'll do the same for the other side. We'll take it apart, then drill and tap, and then I'll bring you back, and let's get those bolts back in, and we'll have a knee. Okay, so I've just drilled and tapped the 3 holes, M8 in each side, and we're mounting it back on again now. So I thought I'd put all the M5 screws in just to make sure they're all going to go in okay, and just speed it up a bit. I'll just use the cordless. I've got the torque setting on it. Right, I've kept this as a sub-assembly, so it should just slide back on the top, hopefully. Yep, and it does. And now I should be able to put these side pieces in. Get the right size Allen key. And there it is. So I've still got to make a little fill-in piece here, 20 by 20mm, just a little strip, and that will be bolted through there, and then through these 2 ends, just to give a bit of support in the middle there. Otherwise, yeah, it's feeling pretty secure. Now, one thing that is worth checking is just can lift it up and down. How heavy does it feel? Easy. Obviously, it's not fully loaded yet. We haven't got the XY table on there, and maybe the vise, but looks good. Looks like I've got the hole about where the chuck is, and then there's some slots here to put the vise on and move it around, whatever. And then, as I said earlier, some holes in the side here if I want to clamp around it, or I can clamp around the front if we've just got a piece just directly on here. Yeah, feels pretty solid. The other thing I wasn't sure about is this is a 5mm pitch. I didn't want to go to 10, which would be a lot faster because it's it's twice the amount of risk of it back driving. So, is that going to get annoying? I think it's going to be okay. Yeah, it's going to be okay. Not too many turns to move it up and down. Yeah, very pleased with that. Great. I just thought I'll just check if the XY table fits on here, and yeah, it's a perfect fit. It's a nice fit around these edges, and yeah, let's move it across a little bit. And I've just checked all the holes line up as well, so we can get these big M12 bolts into there. That goes in there nicely. And there is a however. I'll show you in a minute the however. So they go into there. I won't bother fixing them because I need to take it off again. In case you're wondering, I've got this stripped down because I've not been very happy. You might have seen the video of the XY table. I'm not very happy with the lead screws, they're very bent, so I'm considering a load of different options. So I've stripped it down to measure some CAD, just in case I go the ball screw route. I'm not really decided yet. Ball screws are a lot bigger, so you've got to fit them in there. I just need to make sure I've got space, or I can machine a little bit away if I need to. So I'm just checking out lots of options, not really fully decided, but yeah. I'll show you, well, not a problem, but I kind of knew it was coming, but I'll just show you the extent of it now. Yeah, so you might remember in an earlier video I was talking about the lead screw and the amount of force on it, and I calculated that with this XY table on it was going to be a bit marginal. It may or may not go back drive. The answer is, well, let me show you. And remember, we haven't got the top on yet, which is extra weight. So if I let go, the answer is, yeah, it does back drive. So the calculations were close, but it was, it's come down on the side of back driving. So that's fine. I kind of knew it was going to be a bit marginal, and I thought about different options on the ball screw. So putting 2 back to back, that doubles the friction. A lot of the friction comes from the white wiper seals. It was going to be a lot of effort. So what I decided to do is not worry about it, and there's a little locking screw under here. If we go in here, so all I'll do is loosen it off, get it to the new height, lock it off again, and it'll be locked in place. I need it locked anyway for doing the drilling, so it's not a big deal. I've just got to remember that when I loosen it, it's going to want to start to back drive and go back down again. I think, as I said a couple of videos again, I did also, a couple of videos ago, I did also look at putting counterweights and all, stuff like that. I don't think it's really needed on this. Just loosen it off, get to the new position, lock it up, job done. But I haven't done the brake yet, so that'll be a future episode. Remember, there's a piece of box section that goes in here with a strip. It needs about 1/4 of a millimetre or so. I'll measure it and get it exactly, but get it shaved off there, machined off just some nice running fit under there, and that will form the part of the brake mechanism. But that'll be in a future video. Okay, I'll take this off, give you a couple of shots around it, and then we'll call it there. Yes, that wraps it up for this video. I'm pretty pleased with the progress on that, so at least got a functioning knee now, and I know it's all going to work and it all goes together, moves up and down, the XY table fits. Yeah, there's a little bit of back driving on that, but I knew it was going to be a bit marginal. That's fine. So I think in the next episode we'll get the brake system working so we can lock that off, and then take it from there, see where it takes us next. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any comments, please leave those below. Thumbs up if you like it, all the usual stuff, and see you next time.